Good evening, viewers. Another episode of Guest with Nazir. Today we are honored. Our honorable guest. She has multi-talent and she's a very, very talented lady. She has different roles, and today we'll discuss our personality, our achievement, and our early days. Sara Hill. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you. Please tell our viewers about your education and your early days.
Oh, early days. Well, you can't tell by listening to me, but I was actually born in Scotland. So I was born in Ayrshire and I grew up in Glasgow. My father's job moved to London when I was 6 years old. So we moved to Bedfordshire and I went to a village school where there were about 10 people in my class and I had a broad Glaswegian accent. None of them could understand a word I said. So now I talk like this.
So how was your experience moving to London then?
Oh, well, I don't remember a huge amount of it, to be honest. I remember bits of living in Scotland. I don't think you remember that much. I remember it used to snow on my birthday a lot more than it did after I moved to England. Yeah, I think I settled in pretty quickly, to be honest. I enjoyed school. I had a lovely school. I was really lucky to live in a village, such beautiful countryside around where we were. So yeah, I think I was pretty lucky there, really.
And then about your college life and university life?
I was very indecisive. So instead of choosing a few A-levels to do, I went to college to do an international baccalaureate instead, so I could do more subjects. And then I took some time out because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I didn't go to university when I was 18. I went to work in a call centre, believe it or not. That was an interesting experience. I wouldn't say it was one of my favourite experiences. But I do have endless sympathy for people who work in call centres now. And then I ended up going to university when I was 21, I think. Yeah, 21. So then I went to Ruskin College in Oxford. It's the trade union founded mature students only college. And yeah, was spent a couple of years surrounded by some really incredible people and militant Marxists. And then I transferred my credit and did my final year over 2 years with the Open University. Which was an amazing experience. Like the discipline, I think, required to make yourself study from home is quite remarkable.
Share with our viewers about the secret of a successful event, because you mostly arrange events and these celebrations. So what is the secret of a successful event?
The appearance of calm. I think the event should be, you know, the swan gliding over the surface of the river, whereas you, as the event manager, and all of your staff are the legs frantically underneath, making sure everything kind of remains okay. I think it's a lot harder work than people often give it credit for, I think, running events, particularly running festivals, because we specialise in festivals and outdoor events. And the logistics that go into it are staggering to people who perhaps have only just attended some music festivals, and they go and they have a great time and then they go home. But you know, there's been people like me and my crew who have been on site for maybe a week or even a fortnight beforehand, setting everything up, and they'll be there for a week afterwards, clearing it all up and packing it all down. People don't realise that when they're wandering around an event site, there's cable trenches underneath where they're walking, where all the power's being distributed, and they don't see what's behind the fences with the beautiful decorations on them. They don't see all the generators behind there and the piles of scaff poles and things like that. So, yeah, I think hard work and an appearance of calm are the things that make a successful event.
If we link social media and the media, general media, electronic media, newspapers, with the promotion, how you see the role of social media with the success of event?
Well, I think it's vital these days. I think it's pretty much vital to most businesses these days, social media. But particularly in events and festivals, firstly, if you're on a small budget, obviously you want a way to promote your event that's free. You're probably selling tickets online, so you can link people directly to where they can buy tickets, and there's a very clear, call to action, take the action, click the link. It's very simple. But I think as well there's a lot more scope around interactivity at events and with an audience at an event through social media, from some very creative examples like Sheffield Theatre's Camelot production that they did, where they'd set up a website that was linked to the play, and when they had the scene in Tudor Square, they put up this the website link, and they said, like, basically look on your phone at this website, and you watched a video that was sort of, you know, part of the play that you were watching as well. And, you know, that was a really creative use of technology in that sense, but in a more basic sense as well. People have their phones with them everywhere. Like, they go to a festival and they spend half the festival taking photos of themselves and each other and bands, and they upload them straight away and they tag people. And so it's a way that people who aren't at the festival can sort of share the experience, but also that kind of promotion as an event organizer is kind of invaluable, because it's that intangible benefit of word of mouth, basically, only it's happening on social media.
So if somebody, for sake of arguments, wants to organize an event or a festival, so how they can do the budgeting? What is the best way to arrange a budgeting? Because obviously sometimes people think, oh, we are putting together for 400 people, and all of a sudden they realize 1,000 people are coming up. So, you know, it's security, health and safety, and all these issues happens.
Yeah, well, I'd say they should call me and employ a specialist production company in order to do it for them. Otherwise, yes, you're right. There's a lot of legislation kind of surrounding events. If you have to provide infrastructure as well, if you're not hiring a venue, you know, for example, the number of portaloos that you have to have at an event are determined by, like, there's a legal minimum number determined by the number of people that are coming. So you've got, it's a bit of a minefield, to be perfectly honest. And that's before you even start talking about insurance, which is even more of a minefield, because you're responsible for the safety of everybody that's at your event.
If we look at the history, if we talk about the previous days or, you know, the past, that arranging an event was just a normal thing. But now I believe it's a purely a professional job, and you need special skills, and I will say you need a special art to make a successful and beautiful event.
I think so. I mean, I think there's a difference between kind of organising your friend's band to go down to the pub where they've got all the equipment, they've probably got a sound engineer, and, you know, you don't need to sell 100 tickets because it's, you know, I think that I think most people can do that. But I think when you get sort of beyond that point and you move into a certain level of event management, then yeah, you know, it is a profession, or maybe a vocation. I'm not sure. You know, there are qualifications that you can get. You can learn on the job, but it's because there's a lot of liability involved. It's not something that should be taken lightly. As I say, you're responsible for the safety of everybody that's at your event, including yourself, including your artists and performers that you're trying to, you know, give this platform to so that they can share their work. And you want to make sure that everybody has a great time as well.
Sarah, you have done so many events, or, you know, organized so many seminars and all these type of things. So if I will say pick up one which is very, very, you know, memorable, and we say, wow, it was a beautiful. So which event you will say it was a historical event for you?
Oh gosh, yeah, there's too many for me to kind of, because they're all special in so many different ways. I mean, I'm a director of Peace in the Park Festival, for example, which is a local community one-day event. It just takes place in Sheffield. This year it's going to be the 11th of June. And it's on the Ponderosa Park, and it, you know, compared to some of the work we do, it's quite a small scale event, but it's so lovely that it has a really kind of special place in my heart, I suppose, because it's a showcase for local musicians. It's a peace festival, so obviously I'm quite into it from that perspective. We do so well environmentally speaking, which is incredibly important. And something that the events industry and festival industry as a whole is having to engage with more due to some recent changes in legislation about how you manage your waste at events. But that's probably quite boring for me to go into in detail. But Peace in the Park's always done that incredibly well. And, you know, we've had feedback from the council, for example, saying that when we leave the park and we've finished packing up the event, it's in a better state than when we arrived, which is amazing because we got 10,000 people on it in the interim. So Peace in the Park, I think, is very special for me in that sense.
So how many numbers are involved in that event and in the festival? In
organising the festival, we've got a steering group that works throughout the year. We're all volunteers at Peace in the Park. So we have a steering group that works throughout the year, and that's got, I want to say 6 or 7 people on it. We've got a number of other volunteers. It gets up to about 50 or 60 volunteers on the actual day, because obviously we have to steward the event as well, and there's all that kind of health and safety stuff. So we have stewards who go in rotation of like 4 hours and so on, and they get to go off and enjoy.
And any interesting incident or example you want to share? Because everybody has in life, they have so many incidents and funny things and funny stories to share. Anything you would like to share with our viewers?
I I don't know. There's always a certain number of incidents at events and festivals. This has never happened at Peace in the Park, and I won't say the name of the festival that it did happen at. But there was one festival I was working at where there was a young girl. I say young girl, she must have been about 18, 19. And she was quite upset, and she was kind of on her own in the middle of the field. And I went to check if she was all right, obviously as you do, and just like see if she needed, to go to medical, or if she was just a bit lost, if she just needed somewhere to go. And it turned out that it was the first time she'd ever been drunk, and she'd lost her friends. And it was after dark at the festival, and she was just bless her, she was just so confused. And it's an interesting thing about festivals. Like, I think quite a lot of young people go there and they have their first experiences with alcohol, and it's a very formative time of life. And we ended up actually having a lovely time. I kind of sat with her for about an hour and we chatted, and she was lovely, and by the end of it she was giggling, and then one of her friends walked past and she realised where she was and she went off. And I've done a few like counselling people through.
And in terms of health and safety, which is a very important subject, I know we have a time restraint in this show, but how vital is the health and safety in the events and also festivals?
Oh, extremely. Like, it's the first, middle and last consideration of everything, really. Not that you don't want people to have a good time and so on and so forth, and because there are so many things that can happen, particularly at an outdoor event, that you might have to respond to very quickly. It's absolutely vital that you have those procedures in place, and that all of your staff are fully briefed, and that all of your stewards know exactly what to do, and that everybody's aware of how to handle a situation that arises. And obviously you hope that nothing ever goes wrong, and the worst thing you have to cope with is someone who's gone round the back of a tent to be sick because they drank too much beer. And touch wood, that's the worst you generally ever have to cope with. But equally, there are stories from events all around the world of stages collapsing, tents collapsing, fires, so on and so forth. Never happened at an event I've been at.
People are framed in these stories sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. So, if all of your staff know what to do and you've done everything you possibly can.
So what was the highest number festival you arranged where you say, wow, these are the numbers which you can frame and you can showcase to people that this is the best number you achieved?
Well, as I say, Peace in the Park is up to 10,000, but Why Not Festival, where we don't run the whole festival, we run one of their fields for them. They're up to, it's either 20 or 25,000 this year, which is really exciting. And in fact, that was the festival where we once had to evacuate our arena field because of a health and safety issue, which was an electrical storm that was coming close. Because obviously you're in a big field and it's full of scaffolding and tents, so it's like a giant lightning rod. So there are rules around when there's an electrical storm that's a certain distance from your site. You have to evacuate the event site to the campsite where there's less metal, and you have to allow the storm to pass. And there's like a window that you have to keep people out of the arenas until you're allowed to get them back in. And I'm smiling because I feel like it's quite exciting because nobody got hurt, which was great.
That's good.
But,
and if we link your day-to-day routine because you do a lot of events and the seminars and all these things. And in these days, a lot of charity to achieve their funds, they do a lot of events and the festivals and so on. So are you helping any charity at the moment to achieve their funds or achieve their funding?
Well, funnily enough, I'm actually going to be incorporating my own charity.
I see.
But charities that we work for at the moment, we run Sheffield Mental Health Week, which run the Sheffield Wellbeing Festival, and it's contract with Sheffield Mind, the City Council and Sheffield Health and Social Care, and the NHS Clinical Commissioning Group around not so much fundraising, but around promoting mental health services in the city and starting conversations around mental health. Giving positive steps that people can take personally in terms of, safeguarding their own mental health. Just like you try and eat, 5 fruit and veg a day, you also need to look after your mind and your emotional well-being as well. So that's one of the kind of sets of events that I run.
And what is your message for the youngsters who wants to join this profession, that they want to join, the successful event managers, or they want to join this art? So what is the secret and what is the quick advice for them?
I'd say hard work, determination, get some experience, contact someone like me and say, can I come and do some work experience or shadow you? And Hallam University have an amazing events management degree actually as well, if anyone's thinking about university.
And in terms of education, so how long this degree takes? 2 years, 1 year? So
I think it's a 3-year degree, but I'm not entirely sure. You'd have to ask Hallam.
And do you provide any kind of apprenticeship training or volunteer training for the youngsters?
Yeah, we actually have, at Mester's events, we currently have a student volunteer who's with us every other week for a day. She's actually on the Hallam Events Management course. She's coming to do some real-world experience with us. And at Peace in the Park, obviously we work with, as I say, like many volunteers, and we kind of train them throughout the year in stewarding practice and that kind of thing. And they're very welcome to get involved at any level that they want to as well, because there's experienced people on the steering group who they can kind of learn from and train with. So, yeah.
Sara, it's lovely to have you in my show, and I hope you have enjoyed the company. Viewers, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode, and if you want any information, my email is shown on your screen. Keep watching Sheffield Live TV and Guest with Nazir. Thank you.